From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, February the 23rd, 2022. Israel issued its first public statement about the situation in Ukraine. The Foreign Ministry said today that Israel shares the concern of the international community regarding the steps taken in eastern Ukraine and the serious escalation in the situation. Israel hopes for a diplomatic solution which will lead to calm and is willing to help if asked. That Israel supports the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of Ukraine, sharing also concern about the thousands of Israelis in Ukraine and for the welfare of the Jewish community there, adding that Israel is ready and willing to immediately transfer humanitarian assistance to Ukraine, and that Israel is continuing to engage in dialogue with its partners on ways to get the diplomatic efforts back on track. The Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations is in Israel this week for its annual meeting. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett addressed the group on Sunday, speaking on a number of issues, including the Iranian threat.
Let me be clear. Israel will not accept Iran as a nuclear threshold state. We have a clear and unnegotiable red line. Israel will always maintain its freedom of action to defend itself.
Bennett also emphasized the importance of Israel's relationship with the U.S. administration, even when the two are at odds, like over the Iran deal, and with Congress, and mentioned his meeting the congressional delegations in Israel this week.
We're also committed to working with both sides of the aisle in the United States, as we did in the past. Just this week, I'm going to be meeting dozens of elected officials from the United States, Democrats and Republicans. Israel is becoming bipartisan yet again. Now, despite the differences we have on this agreement, and we do, and we're very candid about it, our relations with my good friend, President Biden, and his administration will remain close and robust.
Israel's Defense Minister Benny Gantz spoke to the conference, and the leaders also met with Israel's President Isaac Herzog, who tweeted, "Thank you for strengthening the bonds between Israel and America. For us here in Israel, your voice matters. Your diversity is valued. Your safety is critical." The group met with and heard from other officials and leaders from across the spectrum, including with former Prime Minister and now leader of the opposition, Benjamin Netanyahu, Foreign Minister Yair Lapid, Transportation Minister Merav Michaeli, the head of the United Arab List Party, Mansour Abbas, and U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Tom Nides, among many others. And as we reported to you, Bennett met with the Republican congressional delegation to Israel on Monday. And yesterday, the Prime Minister met with the Democratic congressional delegation, where his office said he discussed a range of issues, including the nuclear talks in Vienna. The Prime Minister emphasized to the group that Iran's nuclear project threatens Israel, the region, and the world. Prime Minister Bennett, his office said, stressed the importance of Iron Dome to the security of Israel ahead of the coming congressional decision on the resumption of American support in financing the system. Israel's first Arab woman to serve as an Israeli consul abroad was appointed yesterday. Gaida Renawe Zoabi, a member of the Meretz Party, will serve as consul general in Shanghai. The Times of Israel cites Zoabi, saying it is a great privilege to be the first Arab woman to serve in such a senior diplomatic role. And Israel's Judicial Appointments Committee named 4 new Supreme Court justices on Monday, among them its first permanent Muslim justice, Judge Khalid Kaboub. Kaboub currently serves as vice president of the Tel Aviv District Court. And Judge Gila Kanfi-Steinitz, vice president of the Jerusalem District Court, and the wife of Likud Knesset member Yuval Steinitz, will be the Supreme Court's first female justice who is Mizrahi, Jews who hail from Middle Eastern countries. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, February the 23rd at 7 o'clock, it's Talmud Study. At 7:30 on Conversations on Zionism, Shahar Azani speaks with family members and prominent Zionist leaders Olga Meshoe Washington, Dumisani Washington, and Joshua Washington. At 8, Robert Siegel moderates a discussion with Eddie Glaude, Annette Gordon-Reed, and Rabbi David Saperstein on America's race crisis. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Martin Luther King's advisor, Clarence Jones, on L'chaim. At 10, Rabbi Ammiel Hirsch explores how anger can also be a force for good. At 10:30, Journey to Israel's northern border, where host Joel Chasnoff encounters a Hezbollah activist in the midst of his meeting with IDF soldiers. And coming up next, it's Thinking Out Loud. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, February the 23rd, 2022. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well.